Hi, Terry. It's so nice to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I am very well, and I'm so grateful to be here. Yes.
Beautiful.
It's a great
Yeah,
day.
yeah, I know, right? And thank you so much for being here. You see, I want to thank you for two things, all right? Firstly, I want to thank you, Terry, for investing in yourself. You see, some months ago, I was passing by a mango tree, and the tree didn't even catch my attention like that. Why? Because it's got no fruit on it. But you see, just recently when I was passing by that same road, and I sighted the mango tree from afar. But this time it caught my attention real good. Then I moved closer. Then I was wowed. You know why? Because it's got a lot of mango fruit on it now. And I was really, really, man, I
Nice.
love this. The point is, okay, because you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming who you are today, I got attracted to you. You know, reading
Mm.
about you, reading about going through your profile, your background, and the stuff you're doing, it really marveled me, and I was excited. You know, so I want to thank you for investing in yourself to becoming who you are today. I love that. And it's, secondly, yeah,
Wow.
I want to thank you for, being here. We had difficulties, but you ensured it all worked out. Thank you so very much for that. I truly appreciate it. Okay, to get
Of
started with, yeah.
course. I love that.
Thank you, thank you. So, to get started with Terry, I am quite excited to have you on the show today for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking, because I believe in order to transition from a chaotic situation to that of a beautiful one, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information. And you see, Terry, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking
Mm.
because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation very, very important to me and even to the listeners. Now, the second reason why I'm excited to have Terry on the show is for the sake of the audience. You know, Terry, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. A lot of information is flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality information. And that's why when I was reading a little bit about you, I was impressed because I believe our conversation is going to be insightful. So for that reason, Terry, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey. We're just so curious. We want to know how you got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Terry, over to you.
Yes. You are just full of love. I just love
Thank
what
you.
you said at the beginning. I'm so honored and grateful that you see me in the light and that you're 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 open to allow me to share with your listeners. So, and taking the time to read about me. I do a lot of podcasts, and I've done them years ago and I'm doing them again. And I'm truly grateful that I almost started crying. I'm like, oh my God, this gentleman is so amazing.
Thank you.
but, but thank you. And so, well, first off, I'm Terrie Christine. I'm an internationally known intuitive energy healer. And many people ask, what is that? Because, I do get that when, I might meet someone new. And I work in the subconscious place, meaning you and I right now and the listeners are consciously hearing me and engaging. But the subconscious is where our childhood limiting beliefs are, or those interactions that we had with our caregivers, experiences around us with friends, family, and so on and so forth. But they become a blueprint. And then within that blueprint, it's still in us as an adult. And so what can happen is you can have an interaction, or the way I'm moving my hands, you may be triggered and say, I don't like the way she's moving her hands. Or you say, oh, there's something about her that I'm not really that keen on, which means that that's a trigger. That's a feeling. it can remind you not just the way I look or how I'm talking, but maybe just by the way I'm moving. It could be reminding you from your subconscious that that's how your grandmother was acting, or that your mother was acting. And it's making you feel that I'm not liking that, because you may not have had some pleasant experiences with either one of those caregivers. And so that's where the subconscious comes in. And so you can be hanging on to something in your subconscious, but your conscious is revolving in that stuck pattern. And then within that means that you may be attracting the same thing, or you're living in lack, or you don't know why you can't let something go. And that's where the subconscious takes place. And where I step in is I start telling you about you without you even having to tell me anything, because it's a blueprint. It's my intuition and the connection to that energy. And then I can shift it from your subconscious. So you're not struggling as much. You're not questioning as much. You're not doubting as much. You feel that life is supporting you more. And you're starting to move in the direction of things that will love and support you. And it shows. And that's where I've come. I've been doing this for 19 years. I've written a book, The Secret Power of You, that you can find on Amazon. I've been on 2 reality shows, Real Housewives of Potomac and Love and Marriage DC, which the first one is on Bravo and Love and Marriage is on the OWN network. And so I've been able to manifest these amazing experiences for myself to highlight what I do, so that people can see that there are alternative ways to heal from that subconscious, so you're not feeling like some of the things that I was describing. So that's me in a nutshell.
Amazing. I love what you do and I love what you're doing, because the topic subconscious and conscious mind is very, very important. Anything that has to do with the mind. I believe the greatest transformation is not that of the body, the physical appearance and all of that. I believe the greatest transformation is that of the mind. And like you mentioned now, the
Mm.
subconscious mind, where all of the limiting beliefs and the childhood trauma, all of those things where they are eaten. So I'm going to begin the very first question by asking what inspired you, the inspiration behind you becoming an intuitive energy healer. And you mentioned that you've been
Mm-hmm.
doing this for 19 years. So how did your journey begin? How has it been?
Mm-hmm. That's a really good question, because it doesn't necessarily have to start with something very pleasant. It can start with a life altering experience. And for me, it was the end of a 14-year relationship with the father of my children. And the more I tried to squeeze the love that I wanted to connect to my soul, the more that he just ran. He had a different upbringing where, he had 8 siblings, and he was challenged with trusting, even though it wasn't just me, it was a broader trusting God, trusting his experiences, and trusting me and our children. And I just couldn't, my soul was being shattered every time I was giving, and I couldn't get that love. And so at the end, I said, you know what, God? And this is my conversation between source, energy, God, higher self, whatever you choose and you listeners choose to call it, but I'll just label it God. I was like, God, if this is what love is, I'm done. I don't want it anymore. I don't want this physical body anymore. I'm ready to hit the road and go back to where I came from. And I woke up at the very end. It was about 3 a.m. I call that the magical hour, because I remember looking at the clock, and I climbed out of bed and I went into the bathroom and laid on the floor, and I closed my eyes. But I had this sense of leaving my body. I was just expanded and floating. And even though I was consciously knowing I was alert, my eyes were closed, I could see stars all around me as if I could touch them. I could feel and taste this sense of dampness around me, and fully expanded, like that sense of freedom. I was in bliss. I'm like, this is it. I have hit the jackpot. I was laying there going, yes, I'm done. And then I heard 3 simple words. Love will come. It was just like that. It was masculine. it was as if I was standing in the center of a speaker because it was all around me. I'm even getting goosebumps right now when I say it. And then I'm like, what? I flew back in my body and I'm like, what was that? Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Because when you're at the lowest of low, and I felt that that was my rock bottom to say, I'm done with life, and to be lifted with that sense of hope. It's almost as if God sent me that rope down that hole that I was able to pull myself up. I went back to bed, and the very next day, things just changed. I felt like I had a sense of renewal, a sense of life, a sense of purpose, that I'm going to get the love that I've been really wanting. The truth be told, it was the love within me that was coming, because I was so far outside of myself, squeezing, trying to get the love from someone else. I kept setting myself up for failure day after day after day. And then as I began to move into my spiritual journey, I literally was 100% corporate. I was a director of sales, corporate, 9 to 5, taking care of my children and nothing else. But then all of a sudden, this whole different world exposed itself to me. And I started doing research, and then I moved into certain type of modalities for energy work. And I call them the lily pad at the beginning of working in energy. And then I was able to expand. And then I learned to harness this type of energy and shift it from other people. I can do it remotely. I can do it face to face. I have a private studio here in Bethesda, Maryland. And I was able to start expanding other people's reality. You can label it that, because what we see with our eyes and ears, we think that's our reality when that's really not the truth. However, I can shift it, what was going on. My life was blooming. My clients' life were expanding and blooming, and they were feeling that God was there for them, that unseen energy force was all about supporting them. And that's the end result. And that's literally, in a nutshell, of how I went from being on that bathroom floor of wanting to allow my soul to leave to now a very successful energy healer and working with people all around the world.
Amazing, Terry. I love to listen to stories like this. This is amazing, profound, I tell you. Okay, so let us proceed. What are some common struggles or blocks you help clients overcome? Can you talk to us about that?
Yes, that's a really good question, because a lot of people don't see it, because they're going to see that person said that to me, and why did you say it and why did you do it? When in fact, again, as I said, it's the feeling that's triggered and bubbling up. What I commonly see is, and it's not a parent or a caregiver that's emotionally or physically abusive. It simply means that you had interactions with a caregiver or other people around you that you decided something that's really not true to this day. And so I'll hear a lot, I'm not good enough, because a parent would, here's the perfect example. I love the flashes. A parent who's overprotective. The parent thinks that they are protecting the child. Come over here, sit right here, go get dressed. Child comes into the room. Why are you wearing that? That's summery and it's winter. Go change. Now, with those comments, what happens is that the child has made decisions. Child comes back in, and the parent says, without saying it, you made a poor decision, go change. So then the child will say, oh, I'm not making the right decisions. I have to be careful. The more the parent says, do this, do that, come over here, I wouldn't do that. When the child makes a decision, it's making the child doubt and question their decisions. So as an adult, what will happen is they'll become a procrastinator. They'll spend too much time in their head before they make a decision. They won't take risk or chances, and they're living in a nutshell, and they feel lonely. They're avoiding any confrontation. And that's exactly how that can happen. as a parent, from a parent who was being overprotective and then creating that sense of doubt. Now, I know we are trying to guide our children, and that's what parents are for, but then we have to be very gentle and kind about how it's coming out and how the child is perceiving it. That's exactly without any physical altercations or emotional abuse. It was something as simple as the parent going, no, it's summer. It's, you're wearing winter, go change. And then the doubt creeps in. That's one of many, but as simple as I could do it for us and the listeners to understand that that's how it can occur. And you don't understand that. You don't understand why you're a procrastinator. You don't understand why you're living in fear and why you don't want to make a decision, because you just think that's in me. Well, it was put in you. You weren't born with it.
Oh, wow. This is amazing, Terry. You see, I never thought about it from that angle. Wow. Oh man, oh man. Okay, okay, okay. So, how do you help clients achieve clarity and freedom through your healing process? Can you talk to us about that?
Mm. Mm-hmm. So that's a good, I just had a client right before this show, and I was feeling her energy. And I said, you have come a long way. When she came to me, she was constantly in her head, constantly worrying about everybody around her, constantly trying to make a decision and going, oh, I'm afraid, I'm fearful of, constantly, to where she was very emotionally stuck. And let's call it a vortex or whatever you want to call it. That's this energy of cocooning, going, oh, I don't feel safe in this world. As I was able to tell her, when you feel like this, say this. When you see that, feel this. So what I was doing was giving her a sense, and I mean, we could go into lots of detail, which could take the entire show, but I'm being pretty broad that when I'm working with a client, I'm picking something up. I'll give them tips and tricks of how to see something differently, how to feel it differently, how to let things go as I'm shifting their energy as well. That's why when I'm working with people, they're getting profound results, because you could go to, here's an example. I love this. You could go to someone who's a Reiki healer. Okay. Reiki is just the practitioner is the conduit for the energy. They allow the energy to come through the practitioner into someone else. The protocol is you don't talk. You just know that the energy is going where it needs to heal in your client's body. Then when you're done, you hug the client and they go on their merry way. Well, I started at the very beginning of my spiritual practice. I call that the lily pad of moving into energy healing. I started that, but the number one question I heard time and time again, what just happened? What's going on? What did you do? People want to know, because it gives them a sense of, I got that. I understand that now. I know that I can shift and change. I understand that I don't have to carry that burden anymore that was put upon me. And so when I started getting my clairvoyance, my clairaudience, and my clairsentience, meaning that with clairvoyance, I can see movies in my head. The clairaudience, I can hear conversations. And that clairsentience, I just know. And I'll say, oh man, I just feel this. I know it in every single session. But I'm sharing what I'm picking up in their subconscious. And then I'm bringing it to their present state of saying, okay, you had this challenge with your dad. This is why you're struggling, and I'm going to shift it. And that's where the profound healing and the transformations take place, because now they're walking out with something in their hands and their head going, I didn't see that coming, but now I understand, and feeling that sense of I'm getting somewhere. So I have lots of clients that come to me that are seeing, I call talk therapy, seeing other types of therapists. But I'm not talk therapy. I support it, but that's not what I do. I get to the core immediately, instantaneously. I tell them about them. I shift it and move them on their merry way. When they come to me, when they have a therapist, I share all this information. They take it back to the therapist, and every single time the therapist, That's awesome. I can use that. That helps me. And it helps them in that other capacity of their other therapists get to that core so much quicker as I am getting there as quick too.
Amazing, amazing. You see, I've got to say this. You are one of the most important assets in this world. Nah, nah, nah. What you're doing? Nah. You know, folks who are providing solution to a particular problem, oh man, they mean a whole lot to planet Earth. And I believe if Earth is able to talk, it would say, "Greet me, Terry. She's doing a great job." Okay, yeah. So,
Thank you.
yeah, beautiful. So to bring this to an
Thank
end,
you.
Terry, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those who would like to learn more about what you're
Mm.
doing, you said amazing stuff, Saints, and it resonated. They would love to learn more. How can that be possible?
Oh, thank you. So, I've been doing this a long time. I'm all over e- every internet that you could find. I do have a TikTok account under my name, Terrie Christine. I have Facebook. I
Beautiful. So that's going to be the end of the show, Terry. Thank you for coming. One, and thank you for sharing this amazing stuff with us. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so very much.